What's up, guys? Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking about different firearms that I've gotten rid of, some that I've bought back, some that I'm happy I got rid of, some that I'm not so happy I got rid of. And if you could start off by hitting the like button, dropping a comment, I don't care if it's a space, I don't care if it's an emoji, I don't care if you hit the dislike button, just help out the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. I don't get a lot of donations over here. YouTube doesn't pay the greatest, so if you could help get me in the algorithms, that would mean a lot to me. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. I spend a lot of money on these. I spend a lot of time researching, and I spend even more time testing these things to make sure that they run and then bringing it back to you guys. So that'd be absolutely awesome. I'd really appreciate it. There's also super thanks on YouTube if you ever feel like, hey, you know what, you're putting in some good work. Here's a couple bucks. It all means a lot to me. Trust me, it doesn't go unnoticed. But anyways, this firearm in front of me right here that you see is an example of a firearm you will never see me get rid of. When it comes to firearms, I'm a strong believer that you shouldn't get rid of any. You shouldn't sell to upgrade and so on, but sometimes I get it. I've been there. I went years to where I had a firearm, and in order to get the next best thing or the next one that I wanted, I had to trade it in. I had to sell it, and I had to watch that value of that firearm just go down the drain, right? And that hurt my heart sometimes. It really did. And sometimes it even hurt my heart more when I traded in something I absolutely loved, just because it wasn't talked about anymore, just because it was made to make me feel like it's not relevant, like I can't defend myself with it. And honestly, I think everyone's been there. I was like, I wish I had that back. You know, maybe I got some more capacity out of things, but at the same time, I miss that firearm. When it was just me and $300, that firearm had my back. When it was just me and $250 and I needed to protect myself and my family, that firearm was there for me. So that thing is always going to hold a place in my heart. So as I've gone through my YouTube journey and stuff like that, I've sort of gone back and went out and actually took time out of my day to find some of the firearms that you don't see sold or discontinued that I really liked, but I got rid of, and I went and bought them. I don't care if they were used, and that's simply just to show me, you know, sometimes newest isn't the best. Sometimes all the hype isn't the greatest. Sometimes it's just about what you like and what you carry and what you feel will protect you and what's reliable for you. I mean, like, that's why I don't get the hate towards a lot of firearms. I don't care if you have a $250 firearm. If you like it, if it has your heart, then that's, you know, that's what it needs to be. That's all there is to it. But with that being said, I will get rid of this Sig P365. I do not like my SIGs. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not a big fan of my SIGs. They are great shooters. They're awesome, but I've had reliability issues. I've had rust issues. I've never had one go off by itself or anything like that, but I don't get excited about them. I don't share that passion and love that I was just explaining to you about these firearms for everyday carry. But does this one look cool? Yeah. Is this a sweet setup? Yeah. Why do I continue to work on them and make different setups? Because a lot of people like SIGs, and I can't fault you for that because I understand it. I get it. SIGs have been reliable for many people. SIGs have protected people, defended people, fought in wars. I mean, so, you know, SIG is what it is. Do I carry this? Every now and then. I mostly carry my X, my 9mm X, but it's a fun little gun to shoot at the range, and people love to shoot it for their first time, or women love to shoot it, and so on. But like I said, let's get into the actual firearms that I got rid of, right? But we'll just keep this one in front of me for right now. The number one firearm that I am 100% all for getting rid of, regardless of the speech I just gave. I don't know why I gave that speech, but I feel really passionately about firearms, and I want everyone else to feel the same way too. But was a Sky CPX2. Guys, don't ask me what I was thinking when I bought that thing. I don't know what. Even the woman at the gun counter was like, are you sure? Like, she was giving me the look like, are you kidding me right now? Are you really buying these? Literally, just we have these on our shelves because it's a pandemic. You know, that type of look. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, a couple years, 3-4 years ago, I actually bought a Sky CPX2 to see what the hype was about. Took it to the range a couple times. I actually bought a 31-round Pro Mag for it. Just stupid, whatever. It was terrible. I mean, I couldn't get through a couple magazines without malfunction after malfunction, and these malfunctions weren't simple tap and racks. It wasn't that simple. It's not a Glock. It was a Sky CPX2. So if you have that, that is one that I'm okay with you getting rid of. And I'm definitely happy I got rid of it. Next up was the Beretta APX. And I know now they have the Beretta APX A1 carry or whatever it is, but it's basically the predecessor to that. And I honestly liked it. The ergonomics were decent. You know, it held decent, 6+1 or 8+1 capacity. It could fit in my pocket while working, stuff like that. But at the same time, the trigger wasn't just heavy, it was just awful, right? And there's a difference. Like a CZ P10M has a 7-pound trigger. It feels a little heavy, but it breaks in. the APX trigger never broke in. And there's a difference between like the P10M having such a crisp trigger, a trigger you know is going to break, right? Versus an APX carry where you're just pulling and pulling and pulling and praying that it's just going to go off. And it was just one of those firearms that I couldn't get on board with, so I got rid of it, and I was happy I got rid of it. Next up is one that I'm not super happy I got rid of. I didn't want to. That Mossberg MC2SC. If you look at my channel, I have a lot of content out on the MC2SC because I really love the firearm. The ergonomics are great. Capacity is great. The trigger's awesome for self-defense. It's just a great firearm, especially for like $450. You can't really beat something like that. But mine was having major issues, and even after reaching out to Mossberg, they sent it back to me with a different striker and so on, and it just couldn't run rounds. It just couldn't. It was light primer strike, light primer strike, light primer strike. And on top of that, I did have, a couple other malfunctions, but those could have been anything. But the light primer strikes are what got me, because I ran quality ammo, I ran crappy ammo, I ran hollow points, I ran the best of the best primers, and it was still happening over and over again. And I just couldn't get on board with it to save my life or trust my life with it or my family's life with it, so I got rid of it. But do I plan on getting another one? Yes, because I absolutely loved the Mossberg MC2SC. Now, let's get into some firearms I got rid of, went out and bought or built new ones of. The Glock 43. This is one of those firearms they made you feel like, okay, all these double stack micro 9s are coming out. This is no longer relevant. Even though it's 8+1, it's skinnier than every micro 9, it's lighter than every micro 9, and it's got Glock's reliability, so you can't really go wrong with the 43. I actually had two of them and got rid of both of them, right? I sold one and then I traded one with $100 for a P365. And not that one, but a different one. And I thought that was a good deal at the time. Honestly, I'll take my $350 and my $100 back, or whatever ended up being $80. I'll take that back. I love the 43. It's reliable. It's small. It can slip into any pocket. This right here is 8+1 with mag guts. Just a great, reliable firearm. And the reason I didn't actually go out and buy this, I built this one. I bought the frame for $60. It's an OEM Glock frame. Bought OEM Glock internals and a $100 slide from Hooper Gunworks. The sights I like, and I had a leftover Glock 43 barrel, and boom, thing's perfect. Millspin backplate with the American flag, just something simple, but I mean, a dog walking gun, going to the mail, a light carry, being active. It's an awesome firearm, and to be honest, the hype got to me. It's just one of those firearms where the hype gets to your head, and you're like, you know what? This firearm that I've trusted for the last 5 years and have loved and have shot every weekend and had my wife shoot, my friend shoot, and all that, it's no longer good because this came out. And I used to think that way, but I've learned from that. I honestly have really learned from that. Love the Glock 43. If that's your main carry, respect, because I love the 43 and I still carry it. You can see I built this simply just to test out Shield Arm Z9 Mags for the channel. That's literally the only reason I built it. And then I started carrying it again. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an idiot for getting rid of my 43s. I absolutely love this thing. And if you're wondering, this is the Talon, serration grip. Actually works really well. Next up is one that not a lot of people like, but it symbolized something for me. I had a Ruger EC9S. I think I paid $250 for it originally the first time. This is not the same one. This is one that I went back recently, like a couple months ago, and bought just because I love it. But the thing I liked about it was when I had $275 and wanted a light carry option because I had a Springfield XD, which was heavy, this is what was there. And you know what? This is a firearm that I put... At the time, didn't have a ton of money for training and rounds and all that, but I did a couple defensive classes with it. I had the smallest magazine in the whole entire class, I'll tell you that. Everyone else had more capacity. And on top of that, I ran rounds through it every weekend and never had an issue. And the way I look at Ruger is it's sort of like the working man's gun, right? Made in America, but on top of that, it's not going to kill the bank account, but they give you everything you need for it to function, and just everything you need to defend yourself. It's actually got a pretty decent trigger that I actually like. The ergonomics are on point with a hoe grip, and you know what's really funny? Same exact hoe grip I had on it the first time, like 5 years ago or whatever the case may be. Throw the 9-round mag in, you now have a 10-round setup. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. If you have $250, you can't go wrong with the EC9S. It's proven at this time, but if you do have the money, the LC9S is definitely a great option. And this isn't a firearm for, I'm getting in a massive long-range gunfight, because most self-defense encounters aren't going to be further than 3 yards, let alone 20 yards or 30 yards. This is a firearm that shoots really well, and you can actually hit at 20, 30 yards accurately, consistently, and actually pretty fast. It's just one of those firearms that's built for the average person, right? And I really like that about it, and that's why even though I have all these firearms, I went back out and got the EC9S. It just had when I had that amount of money that I could spend because I wanted to spend money on training and ammo, this is what I ended up with. And it never did me wrong. Sorry guys if I'm sort of going a little too deep, but like I really am passionate about firearms. These are things that I take very serious, and I really want people to enjoy what they have and not always be worrying about what the next person has and what the next hype is and what the next firearm that's going to come out is. So that's why I try and stress over here, and that's why you see my main carry, Glock 26. I think it came out in 1994. Now the Ruger SR9C. This was actually my very first firearm, believe it or not. And I had it stainless steel, this exact setup. I didn't have the grips on it, but I'll never forget my very first firearm. I actually got it from a pawn shop, used, because I didn't have the money. I simply had, the $280 or $290, whatever it was, and I was like, that thing looks beautiful. It feels good in the hand. When I grabbed it at first, I'm like, oh my goodness, it feels great. Didn't know nothing about firearms when it comes to Rugers and stuff like this, but I was like, this thing feels good in the hand. It's ergonomic. I mean, why not? But mine started having a bunch of issues. So literally, I bought a new firearm, Springfield Armory XD, and got rid of this, right? I didn't know to send it back. I didn't, these are things you learn. Like, getting into firearms is a massive journey. It's about learning. It's about the experience. It's, it's just one of those things that you're always going to, you're never going to be the best. You're just going to always progressively learn and get better. And that's the whole point of it. And that's what I try and do over here on this channel. But the SR9C, it was a great shooter. I mean, the trigger's awesome. The sights are pretty decent. It has a safety on it, which I don't think they're sold without safeties. They all come with safeties. But for new beginners, learning how to carry with the round in the chamber can be scary. So this was an absolute awesome bonus. And if you don't want to use it, which I don't use it anymore, it doesn't bother you. It's stiff enough to where it's stuck in place unless you really attempt to get it into safety. But absolutely awesome finish. Love this firearm. And guess what? I bought this one used. 100% reliable. Eats everything. I just don't get it. Sometimes you just get a lemon, and that's what you got to chalk it up to. And last but not least, I didn't have this exact firearm, but one of my firearms when I started getting deeper and deeper into firearms was the MP40 Shield, right? And at first, my hands, I used to have, carpal tunnel, right? I had double wrist surgery. Sorry, guys. This is not dirt. I literally just got out of the shower. This is what happens when you get spray foam or silicone on your fingers. I do plumbing. If you guys were wondering, great field to get in if you guys, are looking for a job or a career. But it doesn't come off. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't come off. It's going to take a couple days. So, no, my hands are not dirty, guys. They're just discolored, I guess you could say. But anyways, I had the original, not the Performance Center. Therefore, it didn't have the trigger it had in it. And it didn't have the ports, which really helped with the recoil, right? It didn't have the sights, but it was a great firearm. It was always reliable, and I liked the power of the 40. But my wrist got worse and worse from playing sports. Hockey, lacrosse, riding bikes and shooting really did a number on my wrists, right? So I had to get surgery. And leading up to surgery, my hands were really, really bad. Like, I mean bad. I was in pain. I was dropping things. My hands were numb. I'd wake up multiple times a night to be shaking out my hands. And the 40 just didn't work with me, right? Especially something this small. But after I got surgery and really learned firearms, I love 40. I think it's a great caliber. It's very easy to manage. You just got to learn the snappiness behind it. And I got rid of that 40. But recently I picked up this MP40 Shield Performance Center with the ports, got a Mag Guts conversion kit, and put some grips on this thing. This thing is awesome. I think I paid like $290 for this or $300. Like, literally all these firearms were like $300. And this thing is awesome. With the Mag Guts kit, you can have 8+1 or 7+1 in the flush mag of 40. I mean, carry with Civil Liberty Defense rounds, super light, powerful rounds. You have a great everyday carry option. You can even carry this in the woods in a lot of areas with some hard cast if that's all you have, because 40 can be enough in the woods. It's not recommended, but it can be if that's what you have. But I love this thing. The Performance Center, if you can get your hands on one of these, it is such a smooth shooter. And I just put out a video of me shooting it recently where it's so awesome to watch the flame go here, the flame go here, but you have a clear path on your target. Absolutely awesome. But anyways, those are the firearms I got rid of. Bought a lot of them back simply because I liked them. The Mossberg, I'm coming back for you because I really liked you. But it's all part of this experience and learning. And like I said, I try not to get rid of firearms. Ever since, I don't know the last firearm I sold, I think it was probably my Mossberg. But since then, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be selling anymore, and I will be going back for what I like. And even if I have to wait a long time before I can afford my next firearm, I'm going to do it and just keep collecting, because some of these, you don't know how much you love them until you get rid of them. And with that being said, guys, I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.